Welcome back to SB Nation. The Tour de France was off on Tuesday, but Bradley Wiggins has maintained his comfortable lead with the yellow jersey. The race now heads to the always perilous French mountain stages, so what better time than now to head to the fine folks at the Podium Cafe for a Q&A about what's happened so far and what to expect as the race moves towards Paris.
All right, Chris, the Tour is 8 stages old now, and it's been a crash-a-palooza. Everybody seems to be going down. What is the deal with all the crashes in this year's Tour de France?
Because that's what happens every year in the Tour. 2011, okay? Bradley Wiggins, our current odds-on favorite to win, crashed out on, I think it was stage 7. On the same stage, Chris Horner crashed and actually finished the race, but didn't remember finishing the race in a very disturbing incident. We had that infamous moment where Johnny Hoogerland and Juan Antonio Flecha were hit by a car, and Hoogerland was thrown into a barbed wire fence. And you know, last year we talked about how there were so many crashes in the Tour, we couldn't believe it, what was going on. It just seems like the first week of the Tour de France is always very nervous. You have people who haven't ridden in the race before. You have a lot of people around. They're all bunched up. Everybody still has high hopes and still wants to get to the front of the pack. And you just have this human crush of somewhat nervous temperament, in and around the front of the race that, slowly kind of gives way as the race goes on, and guys kind of sit back and relax a little bit more and accept that they're not about to win. And so the first week is, it's just kind of a regular occurrence that it's this way. It's too bad, but it's hard to say what can be done about it.
Thus far, it's kind of been a tour by the numbers. Everybody thought that Wiggins and Evans were the favorites, and apparently they are, because they're 1-2 in the GC right now, depending on what happens with Monday's time trial. Do you really think that, with so many guys crashing out, do you think that anybody else can challenge them outside of maybe Vincenzo Nibali?
Chris Froome, his teammate. Froome won the stage a couple of days ago, the first significant climbing stage, and he did that, basically he was pacing Wiggins for most of the stage. And once they had figured out that Wiggins was in great shape and that Cadel Evans wasn't going to be able to gain any time, Froome attacked and won the stage. Well, today Froome goes out and finishes second in the time trial, second to his teammate Bradley Wiggins, but clearly he's shown that he has the ability to stay right with his mate there. There's certainly a well-known rule in stage racing that when you have a team captain and he's in the lead, you don't send your number 2 guy to attack and see if he can take the lead from him. And I think we're almost sure that if nothing goes wrong with Wiggins, that Froome will play the good lieutenant. But in last year's Vuelta a España, Wiggins showed that he's not completely invulnerable. He's hard to beat in a time trial, but he lost about 1 minute and 50 seconds last year to J.J. Cobo, who won the Vuelta a España on the Alto L'Angliru, one of the most fearsome climbs in all of Europe. And so, that was a day when Wiggins didn't really have it. I'm not personally suspicious that we're going to see a repeat of him in the high mountains of his exploits from the Angliru. But if he does crack for some reason, I think there's a good chance Froome will be there to cover for him. Vincenzo Nibali is about 220 back right now, I think, 223. He could pull a rabbit out of his hat. The Tour really hasn't gotten into the high mountains yet. But unless Nibali comes up with something really spectacular, he's got more of an outside chance. He's in with a bunch of guys who have an outside chance if something crazy happens. But right now, it's looking more like a battle between 2 teammates.
There have been lots of custom bikes this tour. My personal favorite is Peter Sagan's Cannondale that has the Terminator on it. There's also Andre Greipel's the Gorilla, which is pretty cool too. And you've got Ryder Hesjedal, even though he crashed out, he had the Canadian maple leaves everywhere. Which has been your favorite tour bike?
Best bikes of the Tour. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of different answers. Number one, the one bike that I would like to actually own more than anything else I've seen in the Tour would definitely be Andre Greipel's Ridley Noah. That is just a sweet bike. It looks cool with his little gorilla design on it. Nothing wrong with that. But mostly I just think that's a great ride. Number 2, a very, probably the winner on any sort of sentimental level has to be George Hincapie's Lucky 17 BMC. But I will have to say that the bike that from a distance looks most awesome is definitely Peter Sagan's Terminator. Just the way that the head tube is painted with the face of the metallic cyborg from the Terminator movie. Conceptually doesn't necessarily do that much for me, but when you actually see the bike, it's awesome. It looks fantastic. It looks like a beast. So, yeah, got to give it a Sagan there too. That guy's winning a lot these days. Catch you later.